Welcome back to the In Between podcast. I am beyond excited to have author, speaker, and founder of the Business of Her conference, Alexis, on the podcast. I found Alexis through Instagram. I actually started following her, and then she had reached out to me about some social stuff, and we have been chatting ever since, and I just had to have her on the podcast when I knew she was launching a book. So I am honored to have had interviewed Alexis to speak on her mission of helping women step into their power and to build the right systems, mentors, and have just the support that you need to lead with confidence, both personally and professionally, which is really what Alexis has done through her book, through her mentorships, and really through her conference. In her new book, which is called Getting You Ready for Power, she's sharing practical and personal tips for what your journey can actually look like to leading with power. And in this episode, we're talking all about leadership, self-worth, identity, in between moments, of course, and how we as women can step into something bigger. So it's a really good conversation. Let's get into it. Welcome to the In Between podcast. I'm your host, Cassidy Owen, and I'm the founder of Cassidy Lynn Social, a social media management agency dedicated to helping brands find their authentic voice online. But more importantly, I'm someone who believes that the real magic happens in the messy middle, the in-between moments that shape who we become. Every week, I sit down with female founders, entrepreneurs, and incredible humans who are navigating growth, failure, and everything in between. So grab a nice coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's conversation. Hi, Alexis. Welcome to the In Between podcast.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to be here too because I had secretly been stalking you on all things social as a local Las Vegas business owner, and you've gone way beyond that. And then I learned that you are an author and you're finished with the book. You're launching the book. I believe it's April this month. And so I'm really, really excited to talk about it. And I want to give a little bit of context. So something that you talk about the book, and it's part of your title of the book, is stepping into your power. And I wanted to know if there was a moment in your life specifically where you realized something needed to change and you needed to take ownership of this power.
Oh, yeah. One specific event that happened to me, and I write about this in the book, is the ideation that we need to have marriage to be successful as a woman. And I think for me, it was really powerful because when the person that I thought was going to be my forever came crumbling down, it was such a wake-up call because when you're on the ground floor and you've been bawling for weeks, you're like, this is not it. Like, this is not the way my life is supposed to go. This is not the life I envisioned for myself. And it forced me to sit down and really redefine what success looked like. And so I think in the form of a breakup or an ending or whatever transformational moment you're going to have, that's when you really can figure out your own power, because it forces you to sit with yourself and think, how can I use all my tools, gifts, talents, and treasures to put out into the world versus, oh, I need somebody else to complete me or to be happy or any of the above. And so, yeah, I would say as much as breakups suck, they're actually this magical portal that's going to transform you, because you will end up getting back up and figuring out exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing.
That's very true. And I feel like even if it's not a breakup, it could be losing your dream job or, whatever it may be. Those moments are truly the worst. But I feel like everyone comes out of it with a great discovery for their life or for the meaning behind what they're supposed to be doing or where they're supposed to be going.
Yep.
So how did that actually look for you? Like, you obviously went through the breakup, you're having all these big life-changing thoughts, but realistically, how did this change look?
So for me, one of the biggest components of the change was finding accountability. And for me, that came in the form of hiring a career coach. The career coach that I found was really serendipity because I had gone home one day. I was like, I need help outside of myself, outside of my family, outside of everybody else that can just be this person to guide me through this. And it was the first time I actually put money down and invested it in myself in a way that wasn't a guarantee, right? Like, nobody's going to guarantee that if you work with somebody, it's going to work. But I just knew that I had to spend time investing in myself. And so she was the best investment I ever made, because I thought she was going to answer like my life 20-year plan, 10-year plan, life year path, like all the things. I thought she was going to be this all encompassing answer. And we worked for 6 months together to define just one question, which was, what is it you really want to achieve in this life? And it was worth every penny because it very, very, very clearly, it was really hard to get there. But once we got there, it very clearly came out to, I want to help women believe in themselves and get into positions of power. And it's something that I plan on dedicating my entire life to, not something I take lightly, and something that I feel is my calling on this earth. And so when you come from a place that you really have done the work to identify what it is you want to do, everything falls into place. But it's really that first, investment in yourself to say, this is so much bigger than me. It's actually me being a vessel for other people. That's really when everything changed. So yeah, to answer your question, and for any advice for other girls looking to transform or take that next step, it's like, what's that investment you can make in yourself that's going to hold you accountable to actually getting it done? What's that thing that you can do? So
something that I find admirable about you is you did have the success, you did have those things, and you were shifting, right? And you were trying to find the passion that was underlying all of these things. So I want to back up just a tad and give people context of your career, what you've built, what you've continued to build, and really move into how these two things become one.
Ooh. Okay, so my background has always been family business, and I grew up very entrepreneurial. My dad started a pizza shop back in the 90s, and it took off. And so I grew up learning about family businesses, understanding what cash flow was at like second grade. We were talking about investments. Like it was just a normal thing we did at every single dinner. Like that was just what we talked about. I always heard about it, was always ringing. There was always a conversation going. So to me, it was just very normal. Like if you went back into my first grade, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you go read it, I could pull it out. And it was like, go to Brown and work for my family business. Like that was always what it was. There was no question about it. And so I think for me, it was more along the journey of, okay, well, Alexis, you could work at any department. You could become the CEO of this place. You could do whatever it is you want to do. But who are you beyond that, right? And I think it's really easy to lose yourself and just go along with the motions and follow in someone's footsteps. But it's much, much harder to sit down and really pinpoint what your strengths are and figure out where you can align those strengths within the business and really be honest with yourself. Because a lot of times it would have been really easy for me to be like, I'm CEO, wiggle my nose and like make it reality. That's not really in alignment with what I want to achieve, right? I can't just be that. It has to be so much more. And so I started in the family business my whole life. I worked in my early 20s, then went back to school for grad school, and then went back into family business. And along the whole journey, it was always watching like my gifts and talents intertwine into where it was supposed to be. So I started on sales and marketing. I went through every department. I worked my way up. And then as I got older, I realized that it was really my heart that wanted to be in the business more so than just the numbers. And so then I developed a position for myself and I said, how can I create a department where we're focused on, philanthropy, corporate social responsibility, the growing the good in business? Like, how can I be that person? Because that's who I am naturally. And I know I can be an asset to this team, but it comes first with who are you and what do you want to achieve, right? So that's kind of the story, right? And I think it was always there. I just had to figure it out. And once I did, everything became so clear. So yeah, now I oversee philanthropy and corporate social responsibility across our family businesses. And it's my greatest passion in this life. Beyond just helping women into power, it's also building community, building partnerships, doing good than just the dollar, right? Than just bringing in money.
Yeah, I love corporate social responsibility. You just saying that makes so much sense in my head. We share a passion for that. I'm on the board of the Give Happy Foundation. Are you familiar with them?
No.
So their responsibility is taking corporate dollars and connecting businesses to small local nonprofits in the greater Las Vegas. So we work with giving local, smaller nonprofits funds, but on the other side, we're working with these larger corporations to share with them exactly what you're saying, the importance of give back and how it can actually build stronger community within your employees, if you're a service-based who you're working with. And it is such important work. And I love that you have that heart and you went and you were like, I'm going to create this, and you're going to see why it's so important.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it goes back to exactly that. Like, there has to be more than just this capitalistic society we live in, right? Like, I have to believe it. I know I believe it. And if you can do both things at once, like, why not? It seems like a waste of resources. So that's just my standpoint.
Yeah. And you can do both. That's why it's important.
Yep.
Yeah. So you went on this journey of inner healing, right? And we're all still on the journey. How has that work that you've done and continued to do impact your leadership and even your career beyond just this one role? We talked about one role. Alexis has many roles. She only brought up one, but she does have a lot of things she does. So how does that work impact someone in the rest of their lives, and why is it important?
This is really the crux of what I talk about in the book, right? Because especially as a woman in 2026, right? If you are not operating from a place of self-worth, you will never truly get into a position of power where you can be authentic. And what I mean by that is it's really easy to work, and find a leadership position and be successful. But at some point, if you do not at the ground level have a really, really strong self-worth for yourself and for what you bring to the table, you're never going to be able to put yourself out there as strong as we really need women to be. Okay. And so what I mean by that is, and I talk about my own personal experience, but if, for example, truly at the core, I don't believe I'm worthy, I have all these doubts about myself, I fear all these different things, then how can you lead a team? Right? How can you lead a team? And at some point, right, your team's gonna know, right? Your team's gonna be like, oh, she has all these problems, or she's not really, showing up in an authentic way. People can feel it. And so if you really want to lead, it really has to start from within. And it's scary as all hell, but unfortunately, that's the work that we have to do. Now, the good news is, in my book, I talk about 3 different phases. I talk about phase 1 is the introspection and the rewriting of those narratives. The second is building your team. And what I mean by that is, who do you have around you that you can pick up the phone when things go haywire and you feel like giving up? Those are the people that are going to make sure you stay on track. And then the third is putting yourself out there authentically and building a community. I've come to realize that those are the 3 phases that we should continue to always align through in order to get into power. Now, I mentioned this in the book, and I mentioned this to a lot of young girls I speak to. If you have come from a really great place of self-worth, and like you're like, I know who I am, I know my strengths, you grew up with amazing parents and siblings that were always supportive of you, then skip phase 1 entirely and get to phase 2 and 3 and go put yourself out there, right? But for those of us that didn't have that, or maybe we didn't have those support systems and people did come along in our path and knock us off path and make us believe that we weren't good enough, smart enough, strong enough, fast enough, and we are carrying those things with us, then I really, really recommend we start from phase 1, because it's always going to be in the back of your head, and that little voice is never going to go away unless you truly do the work. And I see that too a lot now with men, right? I think a lot of our men are struggling at the moment. I think that women are really leveling up on so many different ways that men are kind of falling behind, right? And we see it with the data. We see it even in Nevada. Women are outpacing men on single home ownership, on all these different things, even though the cards are stacked against us, right? Because I really believe it comes from a place of doing the work and knowing who you are. And if you can't do that, you're going to fall behind. So
there were so many nuggets of wisdom in there, and it's really true. It's like something that stuck with me that you said in the beginning is you can just continue to put your head down and work. And then at some point you're going to lift your head up and be like, wait, what was all of that for? And I think I resonate with that in real time in my business of I've been working my butt off for 5 years, but it doesn't feel like it because I've had my head down working versus lifting up and, like you mentioned, building the community, having that authenticity in the real time, in the real world, right? So you talk and you mention a lot about self-worth. I would love to have you define that and clear it up because I think we've got so many of these words, self-identity and self-esteem. Like, what truly does self-worth mean to you and in this book when you talk about it?
Ooh, okay. It means that you at your core, without doing anything, without being anything, without any accolade, without a single relationship, like just you being you at your core is more than enough, is worthy, is deserving of all the good things in life, period. Just because you're a human being on planet Earth, you are worthy, period. No matter what anyone else says or thinks or hears, it's just like you know that you carry worth and that you carry gifts and talents that need to be seen in this life. And regardless of what haters or commenters or people who try and bring you down say, that is at its core. So I think it's really easy to get knocked off pace, right? If you have a relationship that tells you otherwise, if you have a parent that tells you otherwise, you have bullies that tell you otherwise, it's really easy to let those voices get in our heads and think, yeah, they might be right, right? It's a lot harder to know the innate worth regardless of circumstance, regardless of people coming at you and telling you otherwise. So I think the older you get, the more work you do on it. It's like the bounce back period, right? It's like the quicker you can just, if someone says something or comments or brings you down, you're like, no, 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 that's not true. Like, you're just like, no, absolutely not, right? Like,
Yeah.
no. But it takes practice and it takes actually knowing and understanding what value you bring just by being you. That's
Yeah.
it. It's just by
I
being
think
you.
something that I personally struggle with, and I know other female entrepreneurs struggle with it too, is maybe obviously other people's narratives get written into our subconscious without us even knowing. But what about achievement in a whole? Like, I am someone who is a high achiever, and it's so hard to not tie my worth to that, to not tie my worth like, oh, I'm going to get this client. I'm the best. I'm doing the most. To separate that is like so difficult. Why do you think that is?
Oh my gosh, I think it's because we live in a capitalistic society and that constructs have been placed on us so that we feel that that has to be true because it's really easy to compare our lives to somebody else and it exacerbates with social media, right? But at the end of it, it's like, no, 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 no. You are an amazing, shiny, a luminous soul, right? That deserves all the good things in life, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of all the things. And that's the core. And so if you come from that place, it's like, oh, yeah, I can bring in 10 people this month. I can bring in 20 people this month. I can bring in 30, but I'm still awesome whether it's 10 or 30. I'm still great whether it's a million or 500,000. Okay,
And
right?
when you have that energy, I'm sure you call in more.
Of course. And I really believe the second that you start to do that work, it's like opportunities just fall in your lap because you're in the energy, right? Like you're starting to do the work and people will come into your life because you're supposed to be in alignment with them. You're supposed to work with them. Of course, you and I found each other, right? Like, of course, I stumbled upon you out of coincidence. So I don't think there are coincidences. I think that you can put things out into the world and then have them come back in a way that you're like, whoa, right? But it's like, no, of course. Like, of course that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've defined it. We are aware now of like the shortcomings, if you will, of society and us believing certain aspects of what's tied to us and our soul. What kind of work, and maybe you implement this and show us in the book, what kind of work daily can we be doing, even if we can't afford that amazing life career coach, that can help us maintain these true, raw, authentic beliefs every single day as we go about our lives?
Yeah. Okay, so the first one is, and this is a big misconception, it's you can find people in your corner or you can have tools and resources that really won't cost you much, right? So if you spend a day at Barnes and Noble, I promise you're going to find 5 or 10 books that you can write down, you can take pictures of, you can sit there and just do the work. that's going to help you stay on track. Also, you don't have to get a big fancy schmancy career coach. You can find someone or go to a mentorship class for $50, $100, sit with a girls group of community, go to a workshop, cost you $80. You can come to Business of Her, it's $300 and
Yeah.
you get a whole day of mentors, right? So it's like you just have to take action and put yourself in that room that's going to help you continue to get the resources that you need to make those changes. Sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. Sometimes it's just calling up a friend. Sometimes it's sending that email to ask for mentorship or guidance when it seems really scary, but then that person holds you on track, right? So sometimes it's free. It's not even that it has to
It
be
really is.
paid. You know, I just did this the other day because I tell girls to do this all the time, is to at least email one person you want to be your mentor 3 or 4 times a year and just get in the habit of doing it. And it's so scary because even the other day, I reached out to somebody that I was like, oh my God, she's so amazing. She's so smart. Like, she does not have time for me. I even find myself, I'm like, nope, we're going to do it. Doesn't matter, because it's the point of put yourself out there, make the ask. What's the worst that can happen? She says, no, fine, not your person, not the person who's supposed to be helping you. But you can't take that opportunity away from them. You have to give them the opportunity to look at the request and say, wow, it would be really cool if I could mentor somebody. The same way I sit and I wait for girls to respond to me and they don't, right? I'm like, I've given you my number. I've shared my number with you 100 times and you don't email me. And I'm like, I don't understand. But I do understand because I know the exact feeling, right? Of like, oh my God, she's too busy for me. She has a million things going on. Why would she even respond? And we work ourselves into this whole spiral. And it's like, I sent the email and within an hour I got a meeting.
Wow.
It's like we tell ourselves all these things and it's like, oh no. And she's this high-powered legislator that has so much experience and runs this research department. And I'm like so goo goo gaga over her. And I'm like, seriously, all it took was one quick email and she wants to meet me next week. I'm like, and what's crazy is she doesn't even live here and she happens to be in town next week. Explain it. Explain it.
Wow.
She's like, oh, great. You should come to this event. Oh, and I'll meet you for coffee. Oh, and I'd love to give you advice. It's like,
Yep.
but we do it to ourselves. We're like, you know.
We're our own worst enemy, hands down. And I think even when you get through certain layers, there's going to be more that get you stuck. And it's having conversations like this that make you realize, like, oh, wait, I could go to the next level. I could try more things. If that doesn't work, I can shift. And I love that you mentioned that things are free. I love the idea of sitting at Barnes & Noble because it's so true. And I think I don't want to miss that there are, especially online, a lot is being thrown at you. And you do have to do the due diligence to research people, understand what they're teaching you to make sure you align with them. Don't just go out and like, I'm going to believe everything. Like, I do believe you should align with things. But once you find people that you align with and connect with them and consume, whether it's their content or their book or their podcast interviews, right? You really can learn so much without spending a dime.
100%. And there's so many things. I mean, even now, podcasts are an incredible resource to start with. I mean, one recommendation I would give if you're a business girly that just wants to hear somebody that is a go-getter and will keep you going, I love Lori Harder. She puts out podcasts like it's nobody's business, and she gives so much personal wisdom of her and her husband. They lost the mortgage on their house and 10 years later they're these successful millionaires, right? So there's so many resources and people now that are willing to share their stories. You just have to find the time to listen, or just, it's so simple. Just pop it on while you're cleaning the house, or Audible. Audible is amazing. You can just listen to books while you're on a walk. So there's no excuse anymore. I feel like things are really simple and free. We just have to find the person we align with and get it in our heads.
Absolutely. And you could do something like I've done, which was a passion project of, like you mentioned, finding mentors. I love that. And that's what we're going to talk about next. But for me, I was like, man, I can't have every incredible woman as a mentor, but I could start a podcast and interview them all and get to listen to their advice for me anytime I want. So I always say this project specifically is a selfish one because I can go through and choose who I want to chat with and learn all the things. And There's so many different avenues for that, whether it's podcast or blog, and I highly recommend it because I've learned so much. But you talk a lot about mentorship. It's something that you're passionate about on the side of mentoring girls and young women. And something that I love that you've talked on a lot about just in this episode is, hey, you can pay for the life coach with the NLP and all the different certifications that is going to be able to help you incredible. Or you could just ask the girl at your yoga studio you met last week that you look up to. So can you tell me about your journey with, one, being a mentor, but also having mentors, and why you find it so incredibly important for women especially?
First of all, the data and the statistics are there. Women that have a mentor or mentors in their corner are far more likely to get a promotion, to get a raise, to be vouched for when doors are closed, all the things, right? So at this point, like, the data's there. If you don't have one or you haven't made the ask, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to help you. And it's really, really simple. So one is, it's really important for women, especially today, to have at least 3 or 4 people in their corner that they can call and ask when they need advice, to get some perspective on, to pick their brain about something, right? That are willing and able to be there for you when you need them, right? The second part of that is, I find mentorship so important because I know what it feels like to have a really shitty mentor and how detrimental that can be to your career. And I had an experience where I had somebody tell me, when I shared an idea with them about starting the business of her, they left me a 4-minute voicemail about how bad of an idea it was. They told me it was going to be an embarrassment to my brand. They said nobody would come, and if I didn't have at least 800 people in the room, don't even bother. Oh, and I sent your idea around to family and friends. None of them would pay a ticket to go. You have to be really careful, because if you don't have the right type of people sitting in the seats, it's also going to hurt your brand.
How do you determine who those people are?
Yeah. So I got that, right? And I thought to myself, oh my God, I will never be this person. I will never, ever, ever, ever sit with a girl and give them criticism that's not going to actually help them. And it really shaped who I wanted to be as a mentor. And it really put a fire under my butt to make sure that I am mentoring as many young women as I can, because I know I'm going to be a good one. Because I had it happen to me where I'm like, oh my God, this is horrific. Like, I cannot. And by the way, if I had listened to their advice, right, Business of Her would have never started. I would have never been able to impact 300 plus women. It is a scary thought to think, if I had listened to that person's advice, what wouldn't have happened. So yeah, I think to me, mentorship is important for many reasons. One, because it's statistically proven to help you in your career, but two, is because I know personally and firsthand how not to be. And that's why I was so hell-bent on creating a way to make sure that when I meet with somebody, it's always going to be listening to them, listening to their story. And then my only role is to look at them and say, what do you want to achieve and how can I help you get there? And I don't care if it's a bad idea, because it's your idea. And I would rather you try with all your might and fail and learn than not try at all. If I'm robbing you and saying, don't do that, I'm robbing you of the experience of trying and failing, which is also going to help you in some way. So I'll give you a perfect example. I have young girls in their 20s coming up to me for advice on starting a business. And I think it would be really easy if they met with some 40 or 50-year-old for them to look at them and say, that's a bad idea. Maybe you should get a job first, right? Like, maybe you should, right? But then on the other side, it's if they feel so called and so passionate in their gut that they want to start a cookie business, a cake business. I've had girls come up to me for a lip gloss business, whatever it is. Do it. Literally do it. We don't have enough women creating things. We don't have enough women starting businesses and scaling and succeeding. What's the worst that can happen? You spend 2 years in your 20s starting something that doesn't work out? Great. Great. You have the rest of your life to work in corporate America. Great. Who cares, right? Like, let me help you, right? Let me help you build your business plan. Let me help teach you how you're going to scale it. Let me help teach you how you're going to position it. Let's work together and go do it. Go do it. And if you have enough passion to actually do those things, then you're supposed to be doing it. Who am I to tell you not to do something, right? If you're going to find a mentor, just make sure that, like, you listen to their advice and you always run it through your own filter of, okay, that's good, but like, what does my gut say? Right? The mentor should always be helping you really like amplify what your gut is saying. And if someone's telling you that sucks or you're never going to succeed or whatever, like that's a criticism. That's not feedback to make it better. So be really clear on when someone's giving you advice, like what's the difference between feedback that's going to help you and straight up criticism. Because if that person would have told me, hey, Alexis, when you start this, make sure that send it to these types of people, or make sure you create this listserv, or make sure you do this, that would have been helpful, right? But that's not what I got. I got, I'm going to fail, which is not helpful at all.
I love it because we need to be able to hear that, because I think sometimes when we find a mentor, especially when we're younger, we automatically put them on a pedestal. And it's not that they're not meant to be there, but we lose trust in ourselves because we're like, oh my gosh, this person knows everything because they're 20 years ahead of me. And it's not that they don't know more than you. They might, but they might not know what's best for you internally. And that's something I even talk to my clients about with social media, because I'll tell them, like, this is a collaboration. Like, I'm not here to tell you what you should post on social media because I'm not the expert. I'm not running your business, right? But I'm going to guide you. And if something feels off, then you have to tell me, because you are your business and you know what is right and what is wrong. I love what you said about it, because it is kind of on one side vetting, but it's also on the other side checking with your gut and your intuition, which is so important. One thing I was going to ask is for you, and I know you, again, you mentor people, but you also have mentors. We live in a world where there's everyone selling a course and a coaching service and all these things. How do you handle if someone's like, absolutely, I'll mentor you, here's my invoice, versus a true mentorship that's maybe like, I'm going to give you guidance, we're going to get coffee every now and then. Like, how do you determine the difference? And when is the space where it's like, yeah, this is paid work versus not?
Okay, so in my opinion, I think that mentors should be free. What I mean by that
Agreed.
is like, I want you to find 3 or 4 people that you can call or text or meet with once, 2, 3 times a year to help you along your journey, right? It should be called a mentorship relationship, and they should understand, right, what that looks like and what that means. And I want you to pick, somebody that works in your industry. I want you to pick somebody that doesn't work in your industry. And I want you to pick somebody that is a complete rock star and you aspire to be. So those are 3 people. And if they all agree to help you, it should be a quick phone call, a text, an email, a coffee chat. It's a relationship, right? That mentorship relationship is very different than hiring a coach, getting a course, reading books. Those are very different things, right? Because I think if you are going to hire an actual coach, let it be for a really specific reason that you want to change in yourself, versus people that are going to be in your corner to help you move through life and business when you need it. For example, like I was feeling so lost, so out of place, so out of touch. None of my mentors could have helped me do that work, right? Like that's not from my mentors. Like all that work was somebody who's going to sit with me and listen, and I'm going to pay to help me get a service to do the work I need to do internally to get to what I want to achieve and where I want to be, right? But then once you get there, then you get the mentors in your corner that are going to give you different perspectives, ideas, insights, support, right? But my mentors, that's not their job to sit with me once a week and to walk me through the pain until I figure out what my purpose is. Like that's not, that's right. Like those are so different. And so I hope that me explaining that will help a young woman. Like
I thought that was great. I just was curious because I can see, and again, maybe these are people not with the right intentions, the confusion of, oh, well, I have this coaching program or whatever. And again, I think it goes back to putting everyone through your personal lens of like, is this someone I want to emulate? And I mean, you mentioned someone in your industry, someone not. I think it's like more value-based even, is like, does this person live authentically in values that I resonate with as an individual? And then, yeah, there's the professional, there's maybe even having a mentor if you're married and you're wanting to be a better wife or whatever that looks like. Like mentorship can be in so many different ways.
yeah.
But I think even before mentorship is community, which is something you've really, really focused on, and you've built an entire community. And so I want to talk a little bit about Business of Her and your conference, because you're doing a lot of big things this year. And these conferences are a really great place to start if you're like, where the heck do I meet someone that I want to emulate and learn from? Because it is a group of incredible women. So can you share a little bit about Business of Her, what you guys do, where you're going, and like the bigger vision that is currently happening?
Oh, I'm so excited to answer this. Okay. So, Business of Her started last year, and I'm a conference junkie. Like, I have admitted it, and I know
Same.
it. I thrive off of being in rooms of amazing people. Like, I just can't get enough. It's like intoxicating to me. And I've always, always, always found value in putting myself in a room like that, either by meeting somebody or learning something, or I'm just like a sponge in those rooms. But I've had the privilege and the resources to be able to be in those rooms. And so I thought I would love to create a space where it's not $1,000, $2,000 a ticket to be in a room. It's an affordable price for an everyday working woman that can come on a weekend and not take, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to book flights and do all these things. Come for an afternoon that's going to be jam packed of resources, panels, discussions, breakouts, all the things for you to walk away and feel like, oh my God, I am so inspired. Oh my God, I know what my next step is. Oh my God, I just met three new people that could be a best friend, a business partner, an investor, right? Like, I felt so called to create and curate that room that I knew I could do it because I had been to so many different conferences. And every time I'd walk away and be like, love this, hated that, would change this, move this, right? Like, I knew in my head, I was like, oh, we could do this better, right? So
Yeah.
I think, the first year is always a question mark and you do something to the best of your ability, but it's crazy because the feedback we got was like, Alexis, this room, the energy, it felt like you'd been running this conference for 10 years. To me, it was like I had never been inundated before after something, and to get over 200 people messaging me, reposting, texting, sharing, emailing me, saying that it was a really intimate and exciting, but also inviting and open community and space that we built. Like, that to me was such a testament to not only this event, this community that needed to be built, but more so like the demand and the demand from women that needed this, right? Like, everyone had walked away and be like, I needed this. Yeah, I'm just so proud of the event. And now, because of the demand, right, we sold out tickets. I could not believe it. We had to shut down ticket sales. We didn't have enough goodie bags. Like, to me, that's just crazy. But then to also continue to get that demand and be like, Alexis, can you please bring this to our university? Can you bring this to our college campus? We need you. We need this. I'm like, what? So that part has been crazy. And living it in the moment has been really special. So this year, we are expanding. We're going from one event to four,
Crazy.
which is crazy. We are going to be doing a Business of Her happy hour meetup in the spring. It's going to be May 21st on a Thursday in Vegas, and it's going to be a way to get all the girls back together. Or if you missed it, or if the tickets were too expensive, this is going to be $60, so super simple. But we are going to have like a mini BOH, so one panel and networking and drinks and goodie bags and all the things. So that's going to be in the spring this year. And then we're going to have our big event as well, November 14th, 2026. Again, a one-day conference. Potentially tickets will be even cheaper this year now that we know that we have the demand to meet it, which is exciting. And we're also taking Business of Her on the road. We're taking it to Notre Dame University in April, which is so crazy that we are doing this in a completely different state with all the girls at a college campus. And that is coming up in literally 2 weeks, which is so crazy to think. We're going to be out there so soon, but we have a great lineup. We have 5 different panels. We have women from across the US flying out just to be there and to have these deep conversations for the young generation. of girls that really need it. So we have Blue Origins coming, Apple's coming, Target corporate board directors coming, Siete Food CFOs coming, Amazon's coming. I've got a bunch of girlfriends that I graduated with that are all also flying out as well. So we're expecting 100, 150 women. And for the first year of doing something of which they know nothing of us, and we're just coming to campus is pretty cool. So we're excited. It's a lot, but it's good. So
The impact is obviously there. And I had mentioned to you that I was almost going to go to Business of Her, and then I had something else come up. But what I can tell from the community of just following along is that it's a community of people rooting for you. It's not competition. It is truly women coming together for the greater good. And I can just tell that based off of community and social posts. So I can't even imagine being in that room with all the energy and what kind of change is going to be and just impact made for the world because of what you're facilitating.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been really special. I hope you can come.
Yes, I'm going to be there for sure. I'm going to have to come to the one in May too.
Yes. It's going to be really good. We're going to drop the invite very soon, so you'll see it.
So I want to touch a little bit on social media because, as you know, I own a social media agency. It's always interesting to talk to female founders about how they leverage social media because you get people who love it and people who hate it. And you have really developed such a beautiful relationship with it, both building your personal brand and your business. And I would love to hear from your perspective and all of the things that you've built in your career and your deep level of authenticity. How has social media been a part of your journey and something that you've leveraged for your companies?
So here's the thing. I think you can have the perspective of one of two things. You can see social media as this bad, negative place where all these trolls live, okay? Or you can see social media as a tool to inspire and to provide resources and insights and all the positivity out into the world. And it is your choice to make, okay? So when I first started social media really seriously about 2 years ago, I was scared. I had that mindset of I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it scared, but I know that it can be a negative place. But to my surprise, it has been such a beautiful place. And I think it's really easy now, right? You're a social media girly and queen. It's easy now to just block the negative comments. You can block certain cuss words. You can block negative things so you won't even have to see it. And you can really create a beautiful space and be in charge of the stuff that you're putting out into the world. And I think if you can put that out into the world of something that you're really proud of and it's a positive resource for people, you might really be surprised on the impact that you can make and the people you are going to reach. And so my personal experience with it as of 2 years has been really positive because I've always led with the intention of putting good out into the world and being a resource for women. Now, if you want to have a different perspective on it and you want to come from a nasty negative place, that also exists there as well. So it's up to you. But for me personally, I think it's really important. It's the way that we communicate now. It's the way that we keep in touch with people. It's also the way that we are able to influence people, right? And I think when you come from it at a place of love and light and kindness, why wouldn't we want more of that into the world? And so it's now becoming a really great tool to not only share pieces of me, but also share pieces of events and people and highlight others. So I've come to really love it, but that's my own personal experience. And so.
No, I love it. And I wanted to ask you that question because once you guys go follow Alexis, you'll know her social media is really fun and she's done an incredible job of giving behind the scenes look into everything from Business of Her to her book, which is always fun. But I'm a huge fan of founder-led content. That's something I love. But it is so true. And a lot of people don't understand that you build your own algorithm. They think it's a big computer, but I can tell you firsthand that you're in charge of it because as someone in social media, I'm logged into my clients' accounts and I'll go on and I'll be searching things and the entire feed will change. And I log on 2 days later and the feed is completely different because the founder had went on and searched something else, right? So if you are like, wow, social media is so horrible and all I see are these horrible things, I'd encourage you to go and search cat videos and like 4 of them, and suddenly your whole feed will be cats. So remember that you're in charge of that. And, you know, if you choose to follow and interact with positive, like-minded people that are building beautiful, beautiful things in this world, that's what you'll see. That's what you'll consume.
Yep. And just a note, I think too, like, it's no coincidence that I found you on social media, right? There's no coincidences, but I think that when you are putting yourself out there in that way, you will get connected to like-minded people. And that's really a great way to build a community. I've seen it firsthand, and I encourage other people to be in charge of what they put out there. So
I love it. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me on the In Between podcast. I always love to finish with this question because it's relevant in both of our lives. If someone is listening and they're in an in-between moment, which we've discussed so many in this conversation, what is some advice that you would give them today?
Easy. 2 questions for you. First one, what is it that you want to achieve? And second question is, what's holding you back? And if you can give me those 2 answers, we can get you unstuck and out of the in-between real quick. But you got to write it down and you got to say it out loud and you got to be honest with yourself. So why are you stuck? 1 is, what do you want to achieve? And 2 is, what's holding you back? Why are you stuck? And if you can answer those 2 things, start to create 3 steps. Just write down 1, 2, 3 on a piece of paper. And what's the first 3 things you can do to get some action going and get out of that stuckness? That's my personal go-to plan. Anytime I'm feeling stuck, anytime I feel in between, I always just sit down and be like, okay, logically, like, why do I feel stuck? Because I feel like I can't do it. Okay, why can't I do it? No, yes, I can. Okay, who can I contact? Okay, got it. Let me write that down. If I feel stuck, I'm going to go write it down. I'm going to go buy the mic. I'm going to go write down the idea. And now I'm already 10 steps ahead. I'm already moving in action. So it's hard, but it's also very simple.
I feel like it's hard to get yourself to do it, but once you do it, you're like, oh wait, I've been freaking out over this.
Pick up the phone, call a girlfriend, and have her ask you those 2 questions.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, share with everyone all the things. We have a book coming out. I want people to know where they can shop it. And then Business of Her obviously is a big one too. So tell me all the things of where we can get more of Alexis.
You got it. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Alexis Meruelo. You can find us for Business of Her and all of our upcoming events at Business of Her. And my book, Getting You Ready for Power, is coming out April 14th. You can get it on Amazon. Make sure you get it on Amazon, or as well, there are many other links to Barnes & Noble and Porchlight, things like that, that it will be available on. So pick your preference, but Amazon is my go-to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the In Between podcast. Make sure you check out Alexis's book and Business of Her, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this conversation gave you exactly what you needed to hear, whether that's permission to slow down, motivation to keep going, or just a reminder that you're not alone in the in-between moments. Now, if you're a female founder or a value-driven brand looking to build meaningful connections on social media, I'd love to work with you. At Cassidy Lynn Social, we help brands express their authentic voice through strategy-driven social media management. Head to CassidyLynnSocial.com to learn more about how we can work together. And if you've loved this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Screenshot it and tag me on Instagram at Cassidy Lynn Social. And if you're going through your own in-between moment right now, keep showing up. The growth is happening even when you can't see it. I'll see you next week for another in-between conversation.